Brighten up those dark mornings. Wheeler, Ollie, and Lecter. Mornings at the Cabin.
Mornings at the Cabin. Happy Thursday. We're back and live for Mornings at the Cabin. Yesterday we took a little time off. I don't know if you saw, we were running around like crazy on Tuesday night. It was a lot of fun, but definitely needed the Wednesday morning off. Ollie, how did you spend your Wednesday morning off?
I slept.
Yep.
And then everybody started emailing me, and I woke up.
Yep.
And then I complained loudly.
Fair enough. Was there anyone else around, or did you just kind of complain to the void?
I just shouted at the stars.
All right, fair enough. Well,
but they weren't there because it was the daytime, and it was a very one-sided exchange.
Oh, fair enough. I did try to sleep in. I have neighbors that as soon as they go out, they put their dog in the yard, and it's one of those dogs. They have two dogs. One stays in its little kennel most of the time. It's an older dog. The younger dog decides, you know what? Everything that moves is my enemy, and I will bark at it incessantly.
Bet that older dog is sick of that younger dog.
I would consider myself the older dog in this situation because I am sick of that dog. And the thing is, it's not the dog's fault. Dog's bored. Got nothing to do. It's outside. I mean, it's nice that it's able to be outside, but like, even when they're at home, it barks at everything.
Give the dog like a little set of battleships or something, and then play against it.
Every once in a while.
E5.
You sunk my battleship. I'm losing to a dog. Just before we go into the first bit of music here, your librarian name is the name of the oldest person you know, followed by a last name composed of the adjective that best describes how you move through a room, combined with the main ingredient of the last sandwich you ate. Jesse
Sachet Ham.
Let's see. Gail Gail Stumble Butter. Peanut butter, that is.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast.
Is it Thursday?
It is.
Okay. I think that's my catchphrase for this entire show. Is it this day? Wheeler, Ollie, and Lecter with you on your Thursday morning. Of course, some election stuff still in the news, right? We got a couple of recounts. We heard yesterday that one of them went from 5 to 2, but apparently that was a mistake by somebody. I'm not going to say who because I don't know their name. But we're back to having a recount. Ryland Johnson ahead by 5 votes over Corey Van Thyn. And what's the other one?
Is Framelake. Kevin O'Reilly ahead by 11 votes.
Apparently 6 missing
Ramsey.
ballots.
According to?
Dave Ramsey. On his public Facebook.
I mean, if there were 6 and they all turned up and they all had Dave Ramsey written on them,
it still wouldn't
Kevin
make a
would have won by 5.
That's right.
So the chief electoral officer, Nicole Latour, said yesterday that, the recount will go ahead. She thinks 11 votes. Essentially, if there are 11 votes
11's too much. There
would have to be 11 separate errors.
Yes.
She's basically saying like it's unlikely there would be that many.
That's right.
But a recount, it's mandated.
But
even if Dave Ramsey at this point conceded and said no, Kevin's definitely in. Well done, Kevin. There would still be a recount because it has to happen.
That's
by
right.
law.
It's mandatory.
Yeah.
But he also in an article CBC yesterday mentioned that he had questions about the online voting as well.
The reason he has questions, and this has been raised before, is that when you vote physically, there is a piece of paper someone can go and check. Right. When you vote digitally, as far as we know,
it's only Putin who gets to count.
It's only Vladimir Putin who gets to count the votes, and that is absolutely the issue. Yeah, the issue is that there's only basically a spreadsheet. There is a document that says, here's how many people voted for these guys, and that's the extent of the checking that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for all I know, there may be more to it than that. I don't necessarily think there is, but there could be.
Yeah.
So we don't really know 100% for sure, at least I don't, how that system works. But you can understand how someone like Dave Ramsey would be a little bit like, well, hang on a minute, how do we scrutinize those votes?
That's right.
The opposing argument to that is that the reason we have recounts of physical ballots is because they're counted by humans who are far more prone to screwing up counting than computers are. Now, digitally, if you tell a computer, I vote for this guy, it's going to do a better job of remembering who you voted for and counting than some volunteer in a polling station who's got to go through like 1,000 pieces of paper in half an hour.
That's right. But I mean, obviously, his concern and a lot of people's concern with online voting is how easily it could be manipulated and not tracked in any way. It could be someone just sitting there doing the hacking thing that they did in 90s movies where a guy just looks at 2 screens and types really fast. That's what's going on right now.
All the text is very green and
That's
neon.
Right. That's right. And then someone sidles him beside him, and they're both typing on half a keyboard like that's a real thing, and manipulating the votes of literally 11 people.
Yeah.
So obviously a couple of a couple of things still to kind of work out here as we move forward. But the other thing is that Elections NWT yesterday released voter turnout numbers.
Yeah.
We still kind of suck at voting.
Well, no. At least half of us were like, go on then.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. And it was 54%, which I believe is 10% higher than it was last time.
You are correct.
Absolutely. So 44% was it last time, and it was 54% this time. So that's cool. Yeah. That's very nice. Some districts a little lower than others, but that's how it goes, I guess. But I mean, 54%. And we had a chat about this the other day about how, like, if you have 100% of the voters, 54% of them turned out to vote. There's probably, in the rest of that, in the 46%, there's probably, I mean, I'm just going to throw a dart at a number, 30% of those people are just like, we've lived here for less than 4 years, and we don't plan on living here for much longer. Why would we vote? There's probably a lot of that. Some of it's apathy, right? Some of them people don't like their choices or whatever, because that's voter turnout, not like spoiled ballots or anything like that, or declined ballots. That's people who just straight up did not vote.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see some numbers on that, like how many people just didn't vote because, like, I've lived here less than a year. I don't plan on living here much longer than a year from now, so there's no reason for me to vote.
If that is 30%, then you made me feel really bad about berating people for not voting.
Well, I mean,
that's kind of the responsible choice if you're not planning on being here to see out the effects of your potential vote.
Yeah.
You don't want to screw with, the rest of us who are still here.
No.
I kind of like that.
Light the match, throw it on the bridge, and drive away. That's right.
The interesting thing in Yellowknife is the driver behind that 10% increase.
Yeah.
Last time around, we had turnout figures like 25% in Cam Lake, where a quarter of people could be bothered to vote.
Yeah.
That became 50%. So even though 50% is sort of kind of sucky, it's way better than 25%.
It really is.
Yeah.
And so Yellowknife actually bumped up in just about every district. I think Yellowknife Center is the only one in Yellowknife that went down.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me because I would have thought people would be pretty energized in Yellowknife Center, but hey, apparently not.
Who's going to get us out of here?
You would think that there'd be more turnout. But everybody in most districts in Yellowknife were between like 45% and 50%, which last time around was more like 25 to 30%. Yeah. So.
And I obviously with Cam Lake, I think having, 20 different candidates definitely had an effect on voter turnout. Because it's like, there's someone I can vote for.
Yeah, even everyone's family's voting pushed up the turnout above 25%.
And their extended family.
It's the opposite of the Netflix effect where you have too many options. This one is like, more options?
Well, all right. More options? I spent an hour trying to choose, and then you just go with the thing you already seen.
The Netflix election. Friends has been elected president of the Northwest Territories.
But can only serve until 2021. And then it'll go to another streaming service.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast was recorded before a sort of live, thankfully not in the studio, audience.
This morning's show brought to you by Knack and the Kestrel Puppet Players as they invite you on a ride through choppy waters, magical fantasy, and quirky characters, taking you to a land where time may slip, but love does not. Time slips at Knack tomorrow night. Get your tickets at knacknt.ca, and we will have one of the Kestrel Puppet Players in with us in just a little bit. Rosalie Scott will join us, and possibly another guest to discuss the show. Looking forward to that. And also, we've got some pinup girls coming in at around 8:30. To be determined. We haven't heard who's coming in, but pinup girls. So that's for the visual medium of radio. That will work out great. I came in this morning, and on the board it said, back to your regularly scheduled power outages. Like, what's this about? Is someone taking NWT Power Corp to task?
No.
A
lot
of complaints about power outages, though, yesterday. Someone on my Facebook feed, I have to stop saying Facebook feed like it's 2007. Someone popped up on it and said they woke up without power this morning.
Yeah.
And there's been kind of just power outage kind of rolling through the city. I feel like I feel like if I worked at Power Corp, I'd want to work that job. You know, the wall with just all the switches on it. Click. Click back on. Click it off another one. Click it back on again.
You just hear a little hey out the window.
Yeah. Hey, what the? Yeah, pretty much. So, I mean, we're kind of used to it now. It gets a little bit more disconcerting if the power goes out a lot during the winter.
Yeah.
Because that's when, pipes freeze and things like that. As we get colder, it sucks a little bit more that the power goes out. Pretty steady amount of power outages throughout the summer, as there always is. And, I mean, I every time I think about it, I think about the the economic kind of climate here and how much these things cost and how much they don't want to. I mean, I don't. As much as I believe the NWT Power Corp is just a horrible, faceless conglomerate that wants to bilk us all for our money, there's also people that work there. I'm joking a little bit, but I know they don't want to charge people more than they do, right? I mean, like you get enough from what you get,
right?
So, at what point does it become so untenable for them not to raise our prices that we just start doing rolling blackouts? Like they did in California for years. So there would just be times where you'd have scheduled blackouts. By the way, on October 3rd between 8 and 12, this section of the city is going to be shut down so we can save power.
That can't really be necessary.
It was necessary in California.
No, I mean here.
Oh, it will be.
In a territory of 40,000, city of 20.
It costs a lot of money to power this place, this isolated region, and we're doing it with hydro and diesel, and it's all really inefficient. And I mean, it gets knocked out a lot.
Well, we were led to believe by Cabin Radio a little less than a month ago that this was all due to an osprey nest that was short-circuiting everything.
Poor little ospreys.
I don't know how the construction of the new platform that was supposed to house the osprey nest is going. Maybe it's midway through. I assume this wouldn't take too long, and then the osprey would be removed from the power lines, and we'd be good.
No.
We wouldn't have any more power outages.
No. Ravens like power lines. They're warm, so they like being on this. Like, you know what? This is nice. I always like coming to the sauna, you know?
Yeah. So it's just been so, and I feel like ever since we reported that story,
it's gone out more.
It's gone up. We've had more power outages.
You know what? That's us taking them to task and them just being like, you know what? Click, click, click. You know? Yeah, just shutting things off for no reason. It is frustrating how many power outages there are here.
Yeah.
The longer they go, I mean, for the most part, they're 10 to 20 minutes long. But so every once in a while, they're an hour or 2 hours. It's just like when the internet goes out and everybody's just like, okay, cool. How do we communicate with the outside world? Anybody? Anyone? No? Okay, great.
We've talked on this show before about how in this studio, inside Cabin Radio, we seem to have two different types of power outages. Yeah. We have power outage A and power outage B.
That's right.
One being that the power goes out, all the lights stay on, but we go off air.
Yeah.
The other being we stay on air, but all the lights go out.
It's very strange.
AJ, I think, had his first experience with one of these two differing types of power outages here at Cabin Radio yesterday.
I heard the screaming.
He was very confused.
He was
deeply concerned. Mm-hmm. And as a guy who just he likes to know how things work.
Yeah.
I think it really messed with him.
It does mess with him. He's easy to mess with, and for a guy that's like pretty masculine, it's a high pitched scream.
It's a little high pitched. Yeah.
A little high pitched. Yeah. And there's AJ. But it's funny. You know what's funny is like the internet goes out and people are complaining about the internet going out. Yeah. And of course there's always someone who's responding like, you know what? Why don't you just go outside and get off your screen? But if the power goes out, nobody's doing that. Power goes out, nobody's like, why don't you just live without power?
Yeah.
You used to live without power. It's like, okay, back in the 1700s.
Where's your lantern?
Yeah.
Are you even prepared for this?
Are you even prepared for a massive pulse that'll take out every electrical system in the world? I mean, what are you doing?
AJ had his lantern up and running. So we were safe here.
Well, I need a generator. That much is clear.
Yeah.
That generates Wi-Fi.
Scenes on the cabin.
Well, that was really stupid, Peck.
Don't call me a Peck.
Oh, I'm sorry, Peck. Peck.
You be careful. I'm a powerful sorcerer. You see this acorn? I'll throw it. Turn you to stone.
Ooh, I'm really scared. No, don't. Hey, there's a Peck here with an acorn pointed at me.
Oh, I wouldn't want to waste it anyway.
Ha! Peck.
Scenes from the cabin.
Know the movie? Submit your guess to mailbox@cabinradio.ca or send us a message on Facebook for your chance to win gift certificates to some awesome Yellowknife restaurants, including the Monkey Tree Pub and Steak Restaurant, the Woodyard Brewhouse and Eatery, Flavor Trader, Copperhouse Eatery and Lounge, or Javaroma. Listen to Cabin Radio every weekday to win, or download the Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
Wheeler and Lecter with you on your Thursday morning. This morning show brought to you by Knack and the Kestrel Puppet Players, who invite you to ride along through choppy waters, magical fantasy, and quirky characters, taking you a land where time may slip, but love does not. Time slips is the show. It is at Knack tomorrow night. You can get your tickets at knacknt.ca. It's all part of the Northern Scene series, and we are joined by Kestrel Puppet Player founder and writer and performer in this show, Rosalie Scott, and also by her father, Dale.
Good morning.
Morning. Dale, you look a little stern this morning.
I'm always stern.
Okay.
Life is very serious.
Okay, fair enough, Dale. We're gonna shift over to Rosalie then for just a few minutes, if you don't mind. Rosalie, this looks really, really, really cool. I've been looking up Kestrel Puppet Players. I'm a fan of yours on Facebook, and I'm checking out the show here on the Knack NT website. Tell us a little bit more about Time Slips.
Time Slips sort of came to me when I was participating in a Humber College puppet intensive, and we were asked to think about stories that we might like to tell. And it sort of came to me about, coming to a certain age and having time to reflect on your parents as they age and the relationships my parents have and how my mother's storytelling really impacted our family, and my father was is a kind of a freewheeling kind of guy. So how their relationship developed and informed our family narrative. And in subsequent years, my mother has developed dementia, which has made the story a little more poignant for me. So with encouragement and from friends and the opportunity to take part in the Knack mentorship program, I've developed the idea into a script and a story that I hope will be well received by the public.
Now, the show is tomorrow night. How many puppets are involved in this show?
Ooh, let's see. We have probably, I think, 8 or more. There are many duplicates. We have
Dale is counting right now.
Dale's doing the math.
Dale's doing the math. 8 different puppets. Now, what you did mention is that some of these puppets take a few people to actually move about. So it takes a couple of people to move Dale and to perform with Dale. So how many performers do you have on stage at any given time?
Probably at least
half a dozen.
Half a dozen.
6 would.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a very it's a kind of an intensive process. A lot of movement and a lot of performance going on.
A lot of coordination.
Yes.
The style of puppet that we're using is a bunraku style. It's sort of based off of a Japanese style.
Okay.
Very formal puppetry style, and we're a little less formal, but nevertheless, we use 2 puppeteers. One puppeteer runs the head and one arm, and the other puppeteer supports the body and does whatever else needs doing.
Imagine closing one eye,
Yes.
putting one hand behind your back, tying your leg to the person beside you, and playing basketball.
Wow.
Basketball's tough enough without
That's
it.
exactly right. I'm not tall enough to play basketball. Well, I mean, other than some of the subject matter, you said it's very poignant. Your mother is now suffering from dementia, which we're sorry to hear about. But I mean, it informs this story. I mean, the Dale is beautiful. It's beautiful
you.
work done. And I mean, so Dale is now coiffing himself. But is this all work done by the puppeteers? They create these and or is it kind of done by a core group, or do the puppeteers kind of create them as well?
Well, the puppeteers create the character, but the puppets themselves, I developed.
You made them all.
Yeah. So
Wow.
we have a lot of variety. We have multiples of the Dale and Eva puppets, and we have mermaids, and we have tractors that dance. So we have again a lot of entertaining elements to the story. But yes, I worked with Juanita Dawn from Longgrass Studios in Calgary. So I was able to use her shop and really be mentored by her. I do have puppet building experience, but she brought me to another level.
Yeah.
So this was quite fun and challenging, and it's amazing to see where they came to.
It's wonderful work. It's so lively, and just having it move. Dale, you've moved very well. Can you tell us a little bit about the show, Dale? How do you feel about having your story being told?
Well, I was always meant to be on stage, obviously. It's a story of my life with my wife and how she becomes both less herself but also more. I'm very excited.
Okay.
Here's a
yeah, Dale, you're a very stoic man. I appreciate that. I can admire that. Rosalie, tell us a little bit more about the process of kind of building the show. You were doing a puppet intensive at Humber, which is a wonderful school. And but where did this kind of all begin for you? The puppet thing. Other than the workshop, were you doing puppets before that as well?
Yes, I have sort of had a passion for animating things, non-professionally, and we had an opportunity a number of years ago. We had a tragedy. We lost a very dear friend, and part of his legacy was he left a story that was written for some of his young friends, called The Vegetable Ship. So a group of us got together and we formed the Kestrel Puppet Players in Ken's honor, and we took his poem and made a book, and then from that book I couldn't not do it. I said, we have to do a puppet play. So again, then The Vegetable Ship was born, and we leapt in knowing nothing and contacted some of the premier puppeteers in Canada, cold called. So they were keen to come up here. So we worked with Peter Balkwell from Old Trout, and also with Shauna Reeder from Clunk Puppet Lab. So again, very fortunate to have the opportunities to work with professionals and learn a lot. And again, working with Long Grass Studios has just been fabulous.
It's an incredible amount of work to make these things lifelike. I mean, the art itself, creating the puppet and making it look lifelike is enough work, but making it move, making it feel real is the real performance aspect. It takes a lot of expertise. So this is going to be very interesting to see. You can go to nacnt.ca for tickets. I don't know if I told you this, Lecter. I've got a little bit of puppet experience.
Do you?
I do. So we were doing a show at Bella, and they were doing the Muppets, and someone created a Kermit for us. So I had to lie on my back in the Queen's box with my hand up like this and working the arm, and it is incredibly difficult. And that's just and I was just moving the mouth and kind of moving the hand.
Yeah,
I can't imagine again closing one eye, strapping one hand behind my back, tying myself to another person, being like, let's do this. Yeah. Let's try to move naturally.
Before we went on air here, Rosalie and Dale were literally chirping that kind of puppetry.
That's right. That is too simple, they said. Dale was very animated. Rosalie, thank you so much for joining us. And Dale, thank you very much for joining us as well. And we do have 4 tickets to the show tomorrow night, and we will we'll give them away a little later in the morning. Maybe with Lecter during the 10 o'clock hour, we'll find a way to give these away. And yeah, beautiful. It looks like it's going to be a really fun show, and obviously a lot of beautiful artwork here as well, and a lovely story to be told. So Rosalie, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully the show goes well tomorrow. And Dale, you know what, Dale, I think I've had enough of you.
And welcome everybody to the premiere of Time Slips. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
We'll see where we go from here.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
Joined by some more special guests this morning. We are replete with guests. The YZF Pinup calendar release and silent auction is tonight, brought to you by Trudy House Photography. And it's starting tonight at 6:30 at the Copper House Eater and Lounge. There's going to be a silent auction. And, of course, the release of a pinup calendar. And we've got a couple of the... are you both models in it?
Yes.
Yes. We've got Jill Rivera and Animisette Graham with us this morning to talk about the calendar and talk about the cause and talk about the silent auction tonight. And we've got 2 tickets to give away before the 9 o'clock hour. We'll let you know how to get those as soon as just as we're wrapping up here. So welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about this pinup calendar. Now, this is something this happened last year as well. Kind of wanted to do it again. And what's the cause this year?
So this year what we're doing is the money is going towards the NWT Breast Cancer Action Group.
Okay.
And it's a fantastic resource for individuals that are going through a breast cancer journey throughout the North. And I highly recommend that you go on their website, check out their resources, and donate as well. Do you want to talk towards the style that was chosen for it?
The calendar, it has 15 women from Yellowknife. It's set in the winter. All the pictures are taken in snow, and they're all taken different styles. There's 3 months that have 3 women in it, and we just picked a theme and went with it.
Okay, and now for those of you who don't know, Scott, what is a pinup calendar? Tell us a little bit more about a pinup calendar, because it's not as racy as I think people think it is. This is an art form.
True, and that actually came up in our discussions when we were trying to decide which charity would be getting the money raised from the pinup calendar, because there were some groups that were uncomfortable with the idea of pinup, and I think
silliness.
I think a lot of it comes down to people not understanding what the pinup style is. It is an artistry, not only just modeling, but the posing, the photography, the makeup, the hair, the set selection or the background selection. Everything has to go together to create this very classical pinup look. And it's not nudity. You're not going to open it and see nipples. So, I mean, it's okay.
I don't think we can say nipples.
I think
can't say nipples on the air.
No. We have to blurt
that out. You
out.
said nipples. I can't say nipples. You can't say nipples.
Everyone has them. It's okay. Don't panic.
Everyone has nipples?
Oh, my God.
I said it now.
I started a trend. Oh, no.
Hashtag say nipples.
You know, we're trying to get a CRTC FM license here.
That's right.
You two
I
are
just
not
ruined
helping.
it.
Yeah. And we are 10 nipples away from losing that license. Nipples. 9 nipples away. Okay. Now that's 8. Okay. So you've got this big party planned at the Copper House Eatery tonight, 6:30, silent auction. So the tickets are absolutely sold out.
Yes.
But you did reserve 2 for us. So thank you very much. That's awesome. So tell us what people are what they can expect. If they win these tickets tonight, there's a couple of drinks attached to them as well, and there is a silent auction. Tell us about the party tonight.
It's going to be a party. All the tickets are sold out, and there were 130 tickets. There's going to be a lot of people there. The whole Copper House is booked out. There'll be appetizers. There's about 46 items in the silent auction, which range from flights to artwork to personal training.
With one and only a Nemesigram.
Yeah. I've taken a session with you during the Life Change last year, and it was intense. And never said knows her stuff.
But I'm nice.
Yes, right.
I'm nice.
She is very nice, very encouraging. None of this screaming in your face stuff. Okay, so there's a bunch of items, the silent auction. I mean, that's something that Yellowknife can always be counted on for, is bringing great items for a silent auction. So it's obviously for a great cause. Now, what I want to ask is that are the calendars available outside of buying the ticket and going to the party and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
So with the ticket tonight and with these 2 tickets that whoever the lucky winner happens to be,
yes,
each ticket gets a calendar with the price. And so you get to take home a calendar. There will also be, I believe, 4 calendars that are signed by all the women involved that are on the auction as well. After everyone walks in, the red carpet, none of us have seen our selected photos.
Oh.
So
wow.
This is an added twist this year. In the previous year that this was done, we knew we had an idea of which photo was going to be going into it. But this one, like Trudy, she's amazing at torture.
Mm-hmm. All right. That sounds like another calendar.
Yeah, it does, actually. Maybe we won't be allowed to talk about that one yet.
Yeah. A lot more charities going to be like, I don't know about the torture calendar.
She showed us her top 3, and she has an incredible professional eye. And we saw what the top 3 were, and then that's it. So we have no idea which actual photo made it into the calendar.
Wow.
So she has large printed selections of the photos for each month, and we're going to go one by one and reveal. And so show up, dress however makes you feel great, and clap and drink and have fun.
And the incredible thing about the calendar and why it's really awesome that it's associated with the NWT Breast Cancer Action Group, it's really about female empowerment. Mm-hmm. There's women of all races, shapes, and sizes in the calendar. We chose pinup because it was really about feeling confident in your body, especially women dealing with breast cancer and going through that process. It changes the relationship with your body. Women that have to have a mastectomy, it changes how you feel about yourself. So it's really about letting women feel beautiful at every stage of their journey in how they are in their body, and just making them feel confident and beautiful and sexy no matter how they look like.
Well said.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Yeah.
So,
I think go ahead, please.
You mentioned that the shoots happened last winter. So was it over the course of several months, or did you happen to hit that melting week of March nicely? And just
I think there was one photo that was like on the last day where it was like, if you guys don't do it today, there's gonna be no snow. But there was only one, I think. The rest of them, like, there were some ladies out there. It was like minus 40 something.
Oh my god!
The temperatures are printed in the calendar at the bottom of the photo,
awesome.
As well as
so someone's gonna have like a +5.
Yeah.
I think when I was out there, it was minus 30.
Oh,
so we did it all through the winter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, that's got to be a quick shoot, I imagine.
It's usually not.
No. Despite it, you didn't see nipples.
Yeah.
Are we down to 7?
And that is that's down to 7 now. Oh my goodness. Oh, this. I think I know the title of the podcast today.
I think so. Yeah.
Nipples! Exclamation point.
For people to enter, they should have to type nipples in the comment section.
There it is.
There we go.
There it is.
We got our giveaway.
We got our giveaway. So okay. I think what we'll do. I've got a song in mind. I'm going to play some Hawksley Workman before the top of the 9 o'clock hour. You hear Hawksley Workman message Nipples to us here at Cabin Radio. You can do it mailbox at cabinradio.ca. You can message us on Facebook. Or you can call the rant line and just scream it if you like. 867-675-0100. Fantastic cause. The NWT Breast Cancer Action Group is getting all the money for the YZF pinup calendars. Calendar release tonight and the silent auction. Tickets are sold out, but we do have 2 tickets to give away before the end of the hour. And Jill, thank you so much for joining us. And, if you want to bring a calendar by that we can hang up, please do. We'll buy it, of course.
Thank you for having us.
Perfect.
Absolutely. All right, that's going on tonight. Listen for Hawksley Workman before the bottom of this hour, before the 9 o'clock hour, and then scream Nipples at us for a chance to win.
Thanks for listening. Check out more from the show at cabinradio.ca and by following the Mornings at the Cabin Facebook page.